Hey everyone, and welcome to In the Running, a podcast where we bring your local elections to life.
We're your hosts, May Dapkus and Olivia Self, two juniors at Mountain Brook High School.
We started this podcast to help inform voters on who is running in their local elections and what those candidates do on a citywide scale.
So, we're asking the real questions about their goals, values, and what they want to do for your communities across Alabama. This is In the Running.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to In the Running. I'm your host, Olivia Self.
And I'm May Dapkus, and today we're sitting down with Miss Ashtyn Kennedy.
Thank y'all.
Running for U.S. House Congressional District 6. It's so nice to be with you today.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I've been watching y'all's interviews and yes, just
We're
like
so
I was
honored.
telling y'all early, like y'all be going into your senior year and doing this is so exciting.
Sweet.
This is the engagement we need as younger generations.
We're so honored. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, we want to know about you. So can you tell us anything outside of your campaign, like your hobbies, background, interests, anything like that?
I fell in love with teaching post-COVID, which is crazy because COVID is when we saw the teacher exodus.
Yeah.
But before that, I had been coaching. I coach volleyball, basketball, and softball, and I love it. I love tutoring. And I was so happy and content to stay out in Colorado and just teach. And I wanted to teach when I moved back. And then I realized I will not be paid enough to do that. So lo and behold, through a series of crazy events, here we are. And I'm running now.
That's great. What inspired you to represent Alabama's District 6?
So being present during the redistricting meeting, I was there that week in the state legislature. At one point, they had actually had everyone in the front row removed. Mind you, this is the top floor of the People's House with a glass window to the point where they were threatening to arrest us on the front row. And I watched them waste $5 million that week. I watched them waste another $5 million. I listened to Jeff Elrod, the Secretary of State employee in the federal courtroom, say, yeah, we know not everyone's going to be redistricted in time properly. We'll just throw their ballots out pretty much. And I spent so much of this year regretting not running against Senator Clyde Chambliss down in Prattville for Alabama Senate, that when this opportunity came up, I thought they've overplayed their hand. So not only are we going to save and secure Shamari Figures and Terry Sewell seats, but we're going to take a third seat away, and it's going to be from the Heritage Foundation stronghold. And once again, Alabama will lead the South, as we've done before.
So if you were to be elected, what would be your top 3 measurable goals for your first term?
So immediately, I want to work with Senator Sanders and Representative Cortez to get the data center moratorium through. I think it also needs to be stricter, and we need to do investigations into these contracts. When you look at the tech oligarchs that sat front row at the inauguration, along with the timeline of the uprising of data centers, of solar farms, the passing of Senate Bill 71 in Alabama, which allows them to basically poison us, and we have to prove it was solely them to save ourselves. When you look at all of this, data center moratorium is bare minimum and needs to be done immediately. In hand with that, I think one of the easiest things to pass will be my second option, which is clean green for clean blue. I want to legalize cannabis, both recreational and medicinally. Medicinal will give worker protections. But I want to take the taxes from this and put it federally towards clean drinking water. I believe if we want to call ourselves a first world country, every soul on our soil should have access to clean, fresh drinking water within the vicinity. Like, they should not have to search for it. That's just bare minimum. I also want a portion of those taxes to go back into the VA, but that's for a later structure, because the third, last but not least, I fully intend on hunting down and prosecuting the Epstein list to the fullest extent of the law. Everyone involved with it, even the ones who say, oh, I knew what he was doing, but I didn't really get involved, so I'm not bad. The ends justified the means, as we've heard some billionaires say. If they knew about the existence of a pedophilic ring that was, I don't want to say everything and get y'all's stuff flagged. The files are vicious. I want to take down every institution and person that was responsible and allowed the harming and exploitation and molestation of children.
Okay, so segueing to a little bit of a different issue.
Yes.
Alabama is ranked bottom tier nationwide in education. What do you think the root cause of that is?
There's a lot, honestly, of root causes because, think about the roots of a tree and you see how many little spindly roots there are. So this is a very complicated topic, but it has a lot to do with the fact that we've also been ranked consistently lowest in income, quality of life, maternity rates. Look at everything. Look at our health care. Look at all of it is tied in together. And Alabama students for a long time, depending on what school system you're in, some of us go to school, I was going to school not really worried about food, not worried about any of that. But many students, that lunch is the only meal they have that day. And they're worried about how to help their parents with bills. So, of course, they're not listening to teachers who are stressed out about their own bills and are barely able to teach a thing that is about standardized test scores that doesn't actually measure their students' intelligence or students' awareness of the subjects. If we can help parents, I believe that on top of course, obviously giving teachers raises, but helping parents is going to be one of the key ways to helping students be able to pay attention. Think about it like this. There was actually a Child Development Program Act. It was almost enacted. Nixon struck it down off his desk because it was going to be too expensive. What it was going to do was partially give nationwide child care, daycare resources. So kind of like how Siegelman did Head Start, this would have kids that could be social and interactive and be learning. And it would, daycare is expensive. It would be taking a huge weight off of especially parents that now we have to have 2-income households. And it's not a free program. It's nothing more than our tax money coming back to us.
Okay, switching to another topic now. I know I'm always the segue. Alabama ranks poorly in healthcare access as well. Do you have any reforms to prioritize in that aspect?
Yes. So the first one is what everyone's talking about, expanding Medicaid. I call that a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. We need universal health care. And again, this is not that it's free. It's simply our taxes coming back to us. We right now are hosting the FIFA World Cup, and I think it's either 43 or 48 teams that are here on U.S. soil. We are the only one without universal health care.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
We're the only country without universal health care. How do we get there?
Getting universal health care, again, it's just our taxes going back to us. We've got, Bernie Sanders, again, is looking at doing trillionaire and billionaire taxes and getting the money back to Americans. And there's even a way we could look at getting that money into the healthcare system immediately, because we also need federal funds. I truly believe federal funds allocated strictly to creating access to rural healthcare. Because as someone that lives on a dirt road, my closest doctor is minimum 50 minutes away. And that is one of the, I love all my Alabamians, but that is not, don't take me there. If I'm having issues, don't take me there. Take me up to, you got to go to UAB with your specialist, or second best case is Jackson, which was almost just shut down. Think about, I hear life flights sometimes out there, and it's just because ambulances can't get out there in time. If you're having a heart attack, you're getting life flighted. And guess what? You're also getting the bill for that. Mm-hmm. And it's bad. Yeah. So there's so much to it. But again, it's not even increasing taxes. It's just putting them back to us instead of making the rich richer. That's all. It's so frustratingly that simple.
Okay, so I have 2 follow-ups with that. One is, do you think that should be an expansion of Medicaid and Medicare, or would you branch off with the universal healthcare system towards a completely new
I think universal health care towards completely new, strictly because of my own experiences with insurance and the way it's set up and the way we are currently set for profits over people. We need a complete revamping, recreation of our healthcare system. And let's, I'm not saying let's go be Canada. Let's learn from Canada because they're not perfect. So let's learn and be the leaders that we were taught we were growing up.
So in your opinion, would you prefer a fully universal healthcare system or a hybrid system with private care and public care?
I want to say fully public, but again, it wouldn't be, like just me or just people like me with good intentions creating this. Mm-hmm. So I think having a hybrid would be best because when you look at the immense amount of people we are representing, I got to give them multiple options. Do what's best for you and your family, but let there be a publicly funded option that should not ever be exploited. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay. We're going to shift again. We want to hear your stance on gun legislation, especially considering Alabama's really strong gun culture.
Yeah, so I actually heavily promote every woman getting her concealed carry. I am a big proponent of that. We have to protect ourselves. But what I will say is Alabama needs, and this is something federally that I can't control on a state level, but federally, maybe we put more gun education and safety out there. In 2024, the leading cause of death for Alabama children was accidental gun deaths. And that's not even, just, I know somebody's going to come in and say, well, the violence in Montgomery. As a Montgomeryan, I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the kids that just have access to mommy and daddies and they don't know. I'm not going to say his name out of respect for his family, but it was public news. We had an Alabama legislator. His son accidentally shot his other son a few months ago.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. Thank
awful.
God they're okay. Thank God both kids are okay. So they're both lived. I believe it was just a surgery removing. That's why I'm not going to say name because when it comes to children, that's horrifying. But I've even read where, a kid would see it in mom's purse and they wouldn't know, it's a toddler and then things happen. So proper storage, understanding the safety on a gun, understanding how important it is to have it put up safe where, yes, you can still have access to it quickly to defend yourself, but you're not going to have a child or an angry teen or, anything like that. Having a gun, yes, it is our Second Amendment right, but there is a lot of responsibility that comes into that right that I think we have gotten way too lackadaisical on.
And talking about Alabama families, a lot of Alabama families are struggling with higher costs of goods. So do you have any plans of how Congress could help support financially or help lower costs for families across the nation, but specifically in Alabama?
Absolutely. So my first thought that comes to mind is Bernie Sanders. I keep bringing him up, but he's done so much in the data center realm because he's talking about AI and this is true, it's our knowledge and our work. So doing a 50% one-time tax on these stocks of like OpenAI, ChatGPT, because they didn't tell us until just now that all these CAPTCHAs where here's a bicycle, here's a red light, we were training AI.
Really?
Yes. So now Google is about to have a new thing with their phones where instead of just face recognition, you wave your hand. Because one of the big things about AI, one of the quickest ways to tell, look at their hands. Especially when they're moving. AI has not quite gotten that down yet. So they're using all this. And so their purpose is to tax it and just give the money back to us because it's ours. Another way is, we already kind of talked about this a little bit, but private equity. Not only are they in our healthcare, they're in our housing. There are thousands of houses sitting empty because of private equity, or apartments where private equity is making more off of application fees than they ever would by renting it out. So getting a hold on private equity and the way they're charging these exorbitant charges and fees, the whole housing market as a whole. But private equity has been the biggest leech on American society that we've ever seen. And that's going to be how we do it.
Talking about a super federal national issue that's really been in the news in these past months, immigration. What do you think Congress should do differently considering immigration policies and all that?
So I think immediately we need to revisit the border. Oh, I can't remember the name of it right now. Of course I can't. Bipartisan border bill.
Bam.
I was like BBB, but not big, beautiful. So this bipartisan border bill in 2024 was loved by both the House and the Senate. And they were told to table it. Yeah, let somebody campaign on it and say that they would do it. This bill wasn't perfect, and that's why I'm saying revisit it and revamp it. So on one hand, it did really good things, like accelerated the time of migrant processing at the borders. It also gave a high influx of money to these different immigration agencies in order to let them do that, because as we've seen, AI is an incorrect, inefficient product put together by these inept men. And we need human beings doing these jobs. The USA is so far behind on immigration because no one wants violent people coming through. So if we give the money and create these agencies that can properly process and help these people through, or block the ones that need to be blocked without these extremely long times to where they'll come over on a visa, because this is the highest rate of illegal, is that they come over here legally and then the system takes so long that their stuff expires. These aren't violent criminals. That's just a person who got stuck in a system that was meant to stall and exploit them. Now, on the other hand, the bill, again, not perfect. It did a lot of things where it was going to cause mismanagement down the line. It really put a lot of asylum seekers at risk, and that could lead to issues. So it wasn't a perfect bill, but it was well done and was ready to be passed and would have prevented a lot of what we're seeing today. So my tinfoil is that it wasn't that we need to table it so we can paint on it. Maybe that's what they told people, but they were going to table it because they knew what they were going to do. And that would have stalled so much of this.
Interesting.
Okay, we're nearing the end of the episode. So our last question we asked this to everybody. It's pretty difficult, so buckle up. But
You got it.
in
You're a teacher.
yeah,
Grammar.
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 In one sentence, why should somebody vote for you?
And I love words, so one sentence is kind of rough. But I'm Ashtyn Kennedy, and you should vote for me because we have only our debt to lose, and they've made it that way. We're morally rich, physically poor, and I will forever be that way before I sell out to one of these corporations that is poisoning the South for profit.
Wow. That was poetry.
Thank
In a
you.
great
Sentence.
sentence. Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. Thanks so much for joining us. We
Thank
really
y'all for
enjoyed it.
having me.
Yes, no.
I love this. Thank y'all.
Yes, this is so fun. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to vote on August 11th, and we'll see you next time.
August 11th, no runoff. If I win by one vote, I win. So
No
please
special
go
primaries.
vote.
Yeah, so the votes are really,
This is, every vote counts.
Yeah, your vote matters. Don't forget that.
don't forget that. Go vote August 11th, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.